Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast, brought to you by Outdoor Vitals, makers of performance-first ultralight gear. My name is John Kelly, and with me, as always, Jeremiah Stringer, the king of Kentucky backpacking. And Jeremiah, why don't you share a little bit about our good old friends over at Outdoor Vitals?
Well, I wanted to say, I think it was last week or the week before, we announced we are still with Outdoor Vitals. We're happy to be here, and in celebration, I went on their website and ordered some food. Actually, for those that don't know, Outdoor Vitals has a bunch of different products. I'm looking at their website right now, jackets and backpacks and shirts and apparel and gear. But what a lot of people don't know is they also have a bunch of different trail foods and supplements. So you can go on there and check them out. We'll leave a link in the description, but I'll name you off a couple. They have, of course, Mountain House. They have Alpine Fuel.
We're not going to hold Mountain House against them either.
That's true. They got Peak Refuel, Packet Gourmet. I bought a couple of their honey stingers. They got a couple different flavors on there, but a bunch of different backpacking meals. Green Belly, I've tried that one before. That's like just a big cake of granola kind of. Good to Go if you're vegan. Just a bunch of different ones. The one I got this time that I've never tried before was the Trail Goods Company creamy spicy chicken pasta, and that's supposed to be here in a few days, so I can't wait to get out there and give it a try.
Good. That sounds good.
Oh yeah, man. And you may even be able to get a discount on there if especially if you're a Live Ultralight member. Oftentimes you can get food cheaper on Outdoor Vitals website than you can if you go directly to the retailer. So check them out.
And you got to throw in there too, if you have the Live Ultralight membership, you get an additional 10% off everything on the website.
10% off everything, not just food.
Not just food, everything. So, I mean, come on, folks. What are you waiting for?
Yeah. So everybody go check the link in the description. Get you some Outdoor Vitals, either swag or gear, or try you some different trail foods.
That's right. And today, Jeremiah, we're going to talk about just a few different things. We're going to kind of update a few things. You know, there was a big thing going on recently in the big, beautiful bill that just officially got approved as of last night, I believe. This is actually the 2nd of July, so you're going to be hearing this about a week after we recorded it. But there was a big stink going on that there was the potential for public lands to be for sale. Jeremiah, do you want to elaborate on that story just a little bit? You were kind of sharing some stuff with me before we got on the air about it.
Yeah, let me set the stage here. So John is partially right here on the big, beautiful bill. For those that don't know, every so often the federal government has to pass a budget, and we're pretty much staying apolitical on this topic, just stating some facts and updating you. So in the bill, it doesn't need a supermajority vote, and that's the only thing that's the only bill that can go through without the supermajority vote for Senate. So that means that you try to cram as much stuff into the bill as possible. And one thing that was in there is some public lands on the chopping block. There's a bunch of stuff in there. People are arguing about Medicaid, Medicare. They're arguing about the debt ceiling, all kinds of different stuff in there. Immigration.
There's never going to be a budget bill that doesn't have controversy. It doesn't matter. There's never going to be one that doesn't have controversy. They have them every year.
Yeah, and this one in particular, one thing that was on the chopping blocks that, a myriad of that stuff is important to us as American citizens. But one thing that really hits home, especially to us being the Backpacking Podcast, is public lands. And the public lands, it was on the chopping block for being sold. So I don't know if this is a way that they're just trying to raise money in order to add to the budget, or what. I don't know why you would sell those public lands unless you're just trying to develop the areas. I'm honestly not sure. So definitely do your own research on this too. But all I wanted to say was, I wrote down his name. He's a Republican. Mike Lee, Republican senator in Utah. He had revised that portion that was being added into the bill of the public lands being sold. He said basically the reason why, and this is a loose quote, is because he couldn't get good guardrails on who the public lands were being sold to. So ideally, he says it would go to American citizens. It could be a person like you or me, an average Joe, and you go out there and you buy a lot or buy some land. And the the safeguards were to not allow the Chinese government to buy it, because apparently they're buying a lot of land around strategic military locations
They
around the
are.
U.S.
Yep.
And also, he didn't want it to go to people who weren't U.S. citizens. So that could be China or it could be others. And lastly, he didn't want it purchased by huge companies. And I read on CBS News is where I got some of this from, was Blackrock. They quoted them. They're like, we don't want somebody like Blackrock going in and buying all this land, because
Hallelujah.
I would assume Blackrock, they can make a lot of money by just buying tons of land and then building houses on it and renting. So
It'd
they're
be
setting up.
houses, it'd be factories, it'd be all kinds of stuff. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. So I know, again, not to get too controversial, I know a lot of people are against companies like BlackRock because I in their ideal world, you have to rent from them. You know, you'll never own anything. Everything's for rent. And we've got into subscription-based services and stuff on here, and we've talked about how sometimes it's nice to just own something. And
Yeah.
even if you have
Yeah.
to pay tax on it to say, hey, I own this, sometimes it's good to own something and not just rent it, depending on the situation. And of course, you don't want one giant company owning everything, and then they set the price on everything. So
Yeah. So to answer the question, are they still for sale or are they not for sale?
the public lands that we're going to be putting the bill are now off market, not going to be for sale according to that bill. It doesn't mean that in the future they can't be sold. It just means in this specific bill, it's not going to be added in. So even if the bill, if and when it does pass, with whatever revisions they're going to finally make to get it all the way through, which is not all the way through, by the way, there's different avenues that it has to go through before it's finally signed, into law. But yeah,
But it passed
that's
the House
a
and the
little,
Senate yesterday, right?
uh, I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
I'm pretty sure it passed the House and the Senate last night. I can double check.
I know that recently there was a lot of stall ball on it, which I'm sure all that stuff in DC, there's a lot of stall ball with any of that. So I know they
they say
read.
it's Senate passes after pulling an all-nighter.
Yeah, it was
And
like
so now it's moved on to the
hours,
House. That's what it is. Now it's
thousands of
moved on to the
pages.
House.
I saw a video on Twitter/X, and they had read it, and it took 16 hours, and all the people had gone home. I was like, you just have this one guy. I don't know if it's Chuck Schumer or who it was reading it, but reading this thousands of page bill in front of everybody, but they all just went home. So it was like him and just a few other people there keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't claim to.
at least we have a victory for the backcountry. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think that
We
might be the only thing I understand with the whole bill process and what's actually in the bill.
Well, and honestly, a lot of backpacking YouTubers had come out and talked about this recently, and irate backpacking YouTubers about the possibility of this land being sold, not being able to be used for what we've been using it for. So we'll definitely take that as a victory. I mean, public lands aren't for sale. I like it.
I like it too, man.
All right, Jeremiah, let's move on to something lighter.
Okay.
Let's move on to something that's not heavy. It's not political. It's actually not even really that important, but we're going to talk about it anyways. And that is, would you rather? We've got a few things written down. I'm going to ask you, and we'll both give our answers to these. But I will say Jeremiah came up with these, so they're very good. They're very good. So I'm going to read these, and then we will come up with what we would rather do. The first one is, would you rather hike 15 miles with a heel blister or sleep in a leaky tent or tarp?
Okay, we're going to do a few of them. So you all number them as we go in the comments.
Number A.
Yeah, I put A. We can just call it number one.
I like number A. In the backpacking podcast world, A is a number. Number A.
Okay. So number A, which one would you rather? 15 miles with the heel blister or sleep in the leaky tent? This makes me think. I was on a trip with Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir, not too long ago, and his tarp, the ridgeline where it's seam taped, it was deteriorating, and it was dripping on him, and he had to put his rain jacket over his face just so he didn't get constant water on him all night. And then, you know, it sucked for him, but at the same time, a 15-mile hike with a heel blister is also pretty nasty. I'm gonna say, let me ask, can you treat the heel blister?
Well, I mean, after the 15 miles.
So you complete the 15 miles before dressing the blister. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with. I think I'm gonna have to go with the leaky tent because it's not pain, it's discomfort. Unless I die of hypothermia from being in a cold, wet hammock or sleeping bag or whatever.
This was an easy one for me because I've had both, and I will hike those 15 miles with a heel blister every time. Because here's the thing, man. And when I get back to camp, I can pop the blister, I can clean it out, and it's not going to bother me the next day. If I don't get sleep, hiking the next day is pure misery. And I'm not sleeping with a leaky tent all night. So I'll take discomfort on the hike, knowing that here's the thing about that. There's a happy ending to hiking with the blister. There is no happy ending when you're sleeping all night in a leaky tent. You know what I mean? Like if you're on a trip and there's no way to get it fixed before the end of the trip, I mean, you should have tape and stuff with you to take care of it. But sometimes you don't necessarily know where that leak's coming from. So I'm going to go with I'll hike 15 miles with a heel blister. I'll suck it up and deal. But I am not sleeping in a tent that's dripping water or a tarp that's doing the same thing. So
Dude,
we're going opposite directions.
The nastiest heel blister I think I've ever seen. I was on the Camino, and Bridget and I started like the first day doing a few miles. The next day was 5 or 6. It was actually in kilometers, so I don't know how many miles each day was, but roughly 10 to 15 here and there. And there's one guy, we made it to one spot, and he had walked what had taken us multiple days. He had walked in a day, and it was like his second or third day on the Camino. And so I think it might have been like his second 25 or 28-mile day. It was up there. Like I said, it's in kilometers, so I can't remember exactly what it was. But dude, his feet, it looked like somebody took a blowtorch or something to his heel and just melted off part of it. So disgusting. And I said, man, what's the deal? Why are you walking 30-mile days? You're just getting started. He's like, I only have this much time. And I was like, let me let you in on a little secret here, man. If you don't address this blister issue and stop walking so many miles, it don't matter what your time frame is, you're not going to make it very far, you know? So would you rather is like, would you rather do 3 or 4 days on trail doing 20 or 30 miles, or would you rather do
the whole trip?
1 week you have, but only seeing part of the spots?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Pretty disgusting.
Anybody wants to see my heel blister where I actually did this? I've got videos of it. And I think it's in 3 or 4 different videos that I've done over the years where I've talked about foot care. So if you want to go back in the library and check out John's nasty blistered foot, it's out there for the whole world to see, and it is flat out nasty. So, all right, ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Number B. Drop your only lighter 2 days from your car, or eat only cold-soaked meals for 3-day trip.
Now, my stove has a striker on it.
So does mine.
It works sometimes.
Mine works all the time. And I just got a new one that has one too. I got 2 new ones that have them.
Mine's probably because it's getting old. I have a number of stoves, but the one with the striker is the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. And Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir, his striker, he said it only worked a few times and then didn't work anymore. Mine still works intermittently.
I got a couple of fire maple stoves right here. So, yeah, they both have strikers on them, which is nice.
So if it has a striker and you drop your lighter, ideally you could use that stove to still make like a fire and stuff at night if you had to. The cold soaked meals, man. I mean, I don't even want like cold oatmeal. If it's supposed to be warm, I want it to be warm. I don't want no ramen that's been in a Talenti container or whatever that stuff is, and it's been shaken up in my backpack.
But here's the thing we have to ask. Do you have the crotch pot?
The Crotch Pot.
Come on, Gossamer gear.
Oh yeah, I remember we talked about this. The April Fools. It's all coming back to me now. The April Fools Crotch Pot.
But no, it's real.
Oh, it's a real deal. Did we establish that on
Yes.
the show? I don't.
Yes, he came up. Yeah. Do you remember when we had? Oh shoot, who did we have on the show?
Was it
From
Lloyd
Gossamer?
Vogel?
No, from Gossamer gear.
Oh no, that's Broadstone gear.
Yeah, but
oh, Glenn Pesky.
Yeah, Glenn Van Pesky. Yeah, Glenn. He came up with that. It's an actual item. You can go buy it right now. Let me see if I can find it, because if people are going, what is he talking about?
Okay, let me get Gossamer gear. I'm not even sure what to Google here. You said it's the crotch what? The Crotch Pot?
I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a crotch pot. Accessories, hydration and cooking. All right, let's see here. Yeah, the crotch pot. I was right. Here we go, kids.
Dude, all 5-star reviews. How oh my goodness. It works. Walk for 2 hours with 1 cup of red bean, lentil, quinoa, corn mix, and 1 cup of water. Weather was sunny and 70 degrees. And I was wearing light shorts and not going at it too hard, so it only got lukewarm. Everything rehydrated completely except some of the corn. I think I might have walked a little longer or did something to generate a little more body heat. This would have rehydrated everything completely. It's great for the ultralight freaks who don't want to carry cooking gear and don't have to. Wow.
Put dry food and water into the crotch pot. You tuck it into the crotch of your pants. You hike like a madman, and then you get back to camp and yum, all done.
I use it every time I go out. It works better with rice than pasta. We don't eat hot food, but lukewarm. No, man. No.
So would that still be considered cold soaking?
I think it's lukewarm soaking.
But here's the thing. Here's the catch-22 for me on this one. I also carry a flint and steel with me when I go backpacking.
You got
I can still ignite my stove even without a lighter, because all you need is a spark and it lights. So I can always light my lighter or my stove. I can always do that. I never have to worry about it. So yeah, I'll drop my lighter. I'm good. Doesn't hurt me at all.
I guess I'll go with the cold soak food. Gosh, it would be.
You don't have to go cold soak. You can agree with me. I mean, we can agree on things.
Well, a man needs a lighter. Come on, your only lighter. I bet I take 4 lighters with me whenever I head out. I think lighter is very, very important. Lighter and knife are like 2 of the essential items.
Yeah, I take 2. I usually take 2 lighters, and I still take the flint and steel because I still am not like convinced that something can't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm probably carrying an extra 2 ounces, so there's no way I'm ultralight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna eat the cold soaked food and hold on to my lighter.
Oh, look at you! I like that. I like that. All right. Would you rather dig a cat hole in frozen ground or poop during a rainstorm without cover?
This is number C for those taking notes.
This is a hard one.
That's what I was thinking, man. Frozen
This
ground.
is a hard one. You came up with a good one here.
Poop, poop, poop. Still haven't made that poop button. Poop, 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 poop. Let's see.
We got to come up with that.
I think I'm gonna have to poop in the rainstorm. Maybe.
I think I am
too.
The
frozen ground. How are you gonna dig with the ground frozen? I mean, I've tried it, man. It's nearly impossible.
Well, and not only that, but if you try to dig and you've really got to go, it's gonna take you like 20 minutes to dig a cat hole. You could poop your pants, and that's not fun. Like, nobody wants to do that, right?
Well, you can poop next to where you're gonna dig the cat hole.
I guess, but if let's say it's like snowing. And it's
snowing
in the snow, then you've got to like dig through the snow to get it out. And I don't know, man. I'm just like, screw it. I'll go in the rainstorm.
Well, I'm not sure I've ever been to where I don't think I've ever been in a position, even though I've backpacked in snow, I don't think I've ever been in a position where I've either had to poop while I'm out there and there's so much snow that I would have to dig down. I'm thinking,
Snow is an X factor.
let's,
I've experienced it. It's an X factor because when you poop in the snow, it just sinks and it melts the snow a little bit. So it immediately becomes kind of gross because it's warm and it came
yeah,
out of your body, and the snow is melting because of this warm stuff that just came out of your body, and it kind of turns into like a poop slushy a little bit. It's not fun. I can't do it. Give me the rainstorm. Give me
I
the
think I'm going to
rainstorm.
I think I'm going to go rainstorm nude. How about that?
I'm not going nude, but I'll do the rainstorm.
Well, if you don't have any cover, I mean, I know some stuff's up for debate here. You're going to wear a rain jacket up top and then take everything off down the bottom and just have your trail runners on?
You know, it would take me less time to set up a tarp and poop under it than it would to dig out of frozen ground.
Oh,
but,
now you're talking. Set up the tarp.
But we have no cover. So
yeah.
You added that caveat, which kind of changes things a little bit. I can't use my tarp, but common sense would say it's a rainstorm. I need to poop. I'm going to create a nice little like covered area so I can poop.
I'm going on record. Rainstorm nude. That's
nude.
Me.
I'm not doing that to anybody. You want to talk about like somebody being really scarred for the rest of their lives? You come around a corner and there's a naked dude pooping, wearing only trail runners. Wearing only trail runners.
It's raining.
It's like, what kind of feral human being have we popped in on here? This is scary. Oh, I'm kind of grossed out now. All right, let's go to the next one. Number D. Hike 10 miles in 95-degree heat without shade, or sleep overnight at 25 degrees in a 40-degree rated bag. That is the easiest one ever for me. I am doing the overnight in 25 degrees. Every single time. I hate hiking in the heat. I hate hiking in the heat. There are few things in this world that I hate more than hiking in like 95 degrees. I almost had a heat stroke hiking with you guys a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go back out to my truck, turn the air up all the way, and I sat there for like 2 hours waiting for you guys. And then when I got home, I still had a 102-degree temperature.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm not hiking in the heat. I'm out. Peace out.
You're gonna take the sleeping. Well, you said if you don't sleep though, it's gonna be miserable.
But here's the thing, man. Just because I have the 40-degree rated bag doesn't mean I can't put on all my clothes.
Yeah, that's true. You could bundle up some.
Because I've got booties. Those booties keep my feet nice and toasty warm. I've got down jackets. Heck, dude, down pants. I mean, I can stay warm. Here's the thing. You can only get so naked. You know?
Yeah.
You can only get so naked, but you can always put on more layers. So I would take the overnight 25 every single time. Plus, it doesn't specify where that bag comes from. Because if that's a UGQ 40-degree rated bag, I'm going to be warm at 25 because I've done that in my 40-degree UGQ bag.
I personally don't think I'd be very warm, even if it was, survival, comfort, all that, depending on the company, like you said. I think I could do the heat, but it says no shade. But what if I know what you're going to say because you already said the thing about the tarp and the no cover. What if I create my own with my umbrella?
No, you can't have any cover.
Oh, my
It says
goodness.
without cover. You put the caveat in there, bro. Without shade. No shade.
Well, if I don't add these caveats in, then they're not.
It's easy to answer the question if you don't do that. Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm going to be miserable there with you. Maybe we can sleep next to each other or something and like lean against each other and share some warmth because I'm going to be cold.
Ain't happening. You gotta deal with it on your own. I don't sleep with anybody except my wife. So, like, okay, this is a totally different thing. I have never slept in a tent with somebody.
Really?
And I never will. Outside of like a big tent. I don't sleep right beside other people. I don't do it. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. I don't sleep well. I snore. They don't sleep well. I've always slept in a tent by myself. When I did Kilimanjaro, I paid extra to have a private tent.
Wow, high roller here.
Now, I don't know about high roller, but I was like, I can go without food for a week if it means I can sleep in a tent by myself.
So
So,
just to give a little bit of range here, I've done the same thing on the Camino with doing our like Bridget. She didn't carry a backpack. I carried mine every day, but we like skip luggage day ahead every day, and it was like $5 or $6 a day for like 6 weeks. So I will pay for comfort as well and private
yeah.
rooms and stuff. But if
Also,
I'm broke,
sleep is really important. I don't sleep well next to people. So,
same. So that was probably an extra. Well, if it's $6 a day and it's for 6 weeks, you know, you're talking about $200 or $300. Would you say it was more than 200 or 300 to have your private tent, or around
no,
that same?
it's about the same. It's about the same.
Okay, I
Maybe a
figured
little less
for
actually.
for a
Might be like
big
150
experience,
bucks.
that's a couple $100, a small price to pay to give you a ton of comfort on a big trip. Like if you're going to be gone multiple weeks and stuff, I'll pay a couple hundred extra bucks to if I have it. If I don't, then I'll lay down with the peasants because I'm no
Yeah.
better. But you
I
know,
don't I don't
it
I
is.
don't sleep in tents with people. It's just always been a thing. I'm a weirdo, I guess, but that's just always been a thing for me. I just don't do it. And I'm okay with it. It doesn't if people think I'm weird, good. Fine. I'm happy with it.
Okay.
I will not do it.
Before we do this next one, let me tell you one quick thing about sleeping in a tent with somebody. So one time we were going to Nolin Lake, which is here in Kentucky, and uh, forgive me if you've heard this before. I don't think I've told it, but we were going, and it was me, two other college buddies, and then he had a friend that I was acquainted with, and that guy brought his wife as well. So they were going out there. They were actually camping out and stuff. They had their own tent and had them a little campsite. And they said, "Why don't y'all come out here with us? We can hang out." And he was also bringing ground deer to make deer burgers, and he made us all deer burgers. But everything
Nice.
was very basic. We were in college at the time. All of us were broke, including him and his wife, which I think he was dating at the time. And we got there, and he had, like the skewers that you do the roasted marshmallows on.
Yeah. The ones I
They
left
make
at
something.
Mr. Backpacking Jason's house
Yeah, that would be the ones.
that he's had since April, February,
Yeah,
since February.
sometimes that's the cost of doing business, my friend.
Yeah.
But anyway, they make a similar product, but for a burger patty. So it like opens up, you put the patty in and close it, but it's on a skew. It's like kind of on a stick, just like one of those skewers. So you can hold a burger patty or whatever over the fire in this little cage. So he made us all deer burgers with that. No condiments whatsoever, just buns that have been out in the sun. That, you know what happens to buns that are out in the sun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we had these soggy buns
They
that this
sweat.
condensation, yeah, they start sweating, and we had that, and then these dry burgers. Nothing to lube up the buns or the burger at all.
Well, the buns are
So
already soggy, so did they moisten the burgers?
no, not much.
They probably just fell apart while you're trying to eat the dried burger.
Just some unseasoned deer burgers and some
Oh, they
soggy
were
buns.
deer burgers?
Yeah, they're deer burgers, but anyway,
How did
that's
I
better
miss
than
that?
I don't know. I said it 4 times. I
I
think
know.
you're
I
old
don't know
enough.
how I missed it. It's just it's ADHD. Keep going.
So anyway, to fast forward, long story short, I didn't even think anything about us sleeping out there. You're 20 years old or whatever. All you brought's fishing poles. You're like, I guess I'll get a water at the gas station on the way. So we get out there, he's fed us, and it's time to go to bed. And my buddy breaks out the tent, sets it up, and I'm like, "Where are we sleeping?" He's like, "We're sleeping in the tent." And I'm like, "Well, that's great, but the spot that you all have it's a campground with little pea-sized gravel. They have, you've seen them, everybody's seen them before, I'm sure. It's pea-sized gravel. You got a picnic table, you got a lantern hook,
Yep.
and you got a little fenced-in area that your all's little campsite.
Right.
And so we set up this like 5-person tent or 6-person or whatever. No pads, no cover, no nothing. And my 2 buddies wouldn't sleep in there the tent was a rectangle, so the length was longer than the width. So I wanted to all sleep in there and zip up the tent. It was warm that time of year. I'm not
Mhm.
sure what month it was. And he said, "No, we are not sleeping in there lengthwise. We're sleeping widthwise." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro? We can't. We don't even fit in here that direction." And so I slept on top of the gravel, one of the worst nights sleep I've ever had. It's gravel, and then whatever that tent is made of, it's basically like tarp material, some kind of plastic or whatever. It's a cheapy tent, Coleman or something. Got the gravel, that tent material, and then me laying directly on top of it, sleeping all night with, and I'm not exaggerating, at least my knee down to my foot hanging out the tent, because he said, "No, we're not sleeping here the other direction, because then we would be touching while we slept." So in order for us to space out enough, we had to leave the door open and all let our legs. I'm like, well over 6 foot. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Hair.
fantastic, man. It's like having one of the like a Nemo firefly, and you're sleeping from door to door.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you might as
basically
well
what
have
you
your
were doing.
Yeah, let your head hang out one end, your feet out the other if you're
Oh
too
my
tall.
gosh, that is so funny, man. That is so funny. Well, that's funny because the last one that we're about to talk about, number E, speaks about sleeping in a tent. So here we go. Number E, sleep without a pad in the summer or sleep with a pad but on an uncomfortable slope.
Have you done the slope?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. My last
I've
night on
done
the Sheltoe Trace was on a terrible slope.
Tell me about it.
Well, I was it's funny. It was 95 degrees out. I was hiking. I was hiking along this. I was hiking along this road because the Sheltoe Trace, if you don't know, this is notorious for road walking. Just tons of road walking on it. And so I'm hiking up this road, and I'm heading towards Natural Bridge. That's where my hike's actually going to end because I've hiked down to Natural Bridge from the north end, and now I'm hiking back up towards Natural Bridge here at the end. And so I'm hiking up on this road. I am beat red. I'm sweating like crazy, and I'm walking along this wooded area, and all of a sudden I hear from the other side of the woods, "Would you like a bottle of water?" And I'm not kidding you. I looked around, and I went, "God?" And somebody goes, "No, but if you come up around the driveway, you can get you can get a bottle of water." And so I walk up around, and sure enough, Hollerwood recreational whatever was there. They do RV racing or RV trails and stuff like that for people side by sides and stuff. And so I go up around there, dude. They had full blown like restaurant food there. So I walked in, I looked around, I'm like, okay, what is this? He goes, "We got primitive parking, or we've got primitive camping. If you want to pay $5, you can have a spot over there." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, we got all this food here. We're gonna be selling stuff." Dude, I just hung out that night. Like, I went over, set up my tent. It was on a slope. I didn't have a choice. That's what they had. But I ate a pork tenderloin sandwich for dinner that night. Had like French fries and a soda, and dude, it was incredible. It was such an awesome night. And I was like, I can deal with the slope for the last night because, tomorrow night I'm sleeping in my bed, so I can deal with this tonight. But it was, I mean, I'm talking slope. Like,
Yeah,
I set something up at the bottom of my sleeping pad underneath it so that my feet would hit it and not slide off the bottom of the pad in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about was, do you go head down or foot down?
Foot down. Because you don't want all that blood rushing to your head.
Bro.
Horrible headache the next day.
Before we pick which one on this, would you rather? Let me tell you about the worst slope situation that I have seen on the sleeping. The lady's name, her name's actually Nancy, but her trail name was Nurse. And we were at the shelter, right? There's a whole group of us: Caveman, me, Birdie, Doc, Nurse. This was the day that I ran into the guy that set the fastest known time, self-supported, on the long trail. Actually, this is a long trail story.
Oh,
so
never take a drink.
That's right. So we made it to this shelter, and Caveman is there sitting and talking to this fastest known time guy. And he leaves, and then it's just me and Caveman. And then slowly, Birdie trickles in, Nurse and Doc trickle in, and we are overlooking Mount Mansfield. And I know in the morning, if the weather cooperates, we're going to have a great sunrise, and we are facing east, looking directly at Mount Mansfield. So this sunrise is going to be immaculate. And spoiler alert, it was wonderful. It's on my Instagram if anybody wants to see it. So this shelter, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the name. It starts with a G, Gutter Shelter maybe. We're in it, and since they arrive last, they get last pick of where they're going to sleep at. And I didn't really think much of it. Caveman was already set up. I set up next to him. We're sitting there playing guitar, and they arrive, they set up, and at some point during the night, Nurse gets up because the way that she's sleeping, the shelter is sloped, and she went head close. It's a 3-walled shelter. So she went head in the back and then feet toward the opening because it's not closed in at all. It's literally just a wide open space.
Right.
So she puts her feet out there because she says if she's going to be woken by a bear, she wants it eating her feet first instead of her face. And I say, fair enough, Nancy. So she goes to sleep, wakes up, and where her head was down, I guess maybe it gave her real bad acid reflux or something, irritated her esophagus. I'm not sure, but I just remember her puking her guts out whenever she got up at the crack of daylight.
That's awful.
We just got beautiful sunrise here, and at the same time it's starting to get light. Nancy's just puking off the edge of the world right here. So
gross.
the opposite ends of the world there. I was happy. She wasn't. Maybe sorry, Nurse, hike a little faster, get there earlier, and I won't take your spot.
Well, then which way are you going to go? You going without the pad, or you going on the slope?
I'm going to go if the slope, it says uncomfortable slope. I've done a bunch of them. Usually I put my clothes and stuff under my feet like you did. I think I'm going to go with the slope. Even though it would suck, it's better than no pad.
Yeah, I can't do no pad. Not at my age. I can't do it. Like maybe 20 years ago I could have pulled that off, but right now, no chance. I'm taking the pad and I'll sleep in the uncomfortable slope, and I'll just keep adding things under my pad until it gets to a comfortable point. So,
you know what's funny?
We have a lot of gear in those backpacks. It's amazing how much of it you can put under a pad to kind of make up for a bad slope.
Yeah, that's true. You can really kind of stack it up pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, at least keep you from sliding or your feet hitting the tent wall. I'll say one other thing. It's funny, that shelter, if you keep hiking, you go over the highest point in Vermont, just directly after that. And then there's another shelter that's really nice. That's got walls and a door and everything, a deck. And I stayed there with Miyagi and Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir. And I believe Justin from It's Good in the Woods was on that trip as well. I'm pretty sure. And Jason and I both had to sleep without pads because we were hammock camping. And that was the last time that I've slept without a sleeping pad where I had to sleep. It wasn't on the ground. It was wood slats because it's a shelter, but it's still, I don't know what's less comfortable man. Laying in a place where people would have had a tent where there's just like regular ground, or on those wood slats. Both suck. I put on here in the summertime for sleeping without the pad. So I guess you could stomach it, but
I had a pad go flat on me in a really wooded area that was pine needles everywhere. And I took every pine needle I could find and put it underneath my tent just to soften the ground underneath the tent. And that helped. It wasn't nearly as hard, but still nothing beats having that pad.
Yeah, you know what I done? I bummed everybody's sit pad that I could.
You got to do something, man. You got to do something.
Well, the pressure points are the shoulder and hip, man. I had one under my shoulder and two under my hip. That's all I could do. Sleep on top of my underquilt.
You figure it out, man. You figure it out. Well, Jeremiah, that is a good set of questions that you threw out, man. Excellent job. excellent thinking, and you're evil at the same time. So, I mean,
share with us
the
comments and let
caveats.
us
It
know.
wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't for the caveats. Wouldn't have been so bad. Yeah, as Jeremiah said, we did A through E. Give us your answers. Which ones would you rather do? Would you rather do something awful or something worse? Let us know in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Spotify. We would love to know. And with that said, for myself and for the almighty Jeremiah Stringer, we will catch you guys on the next one.
See you, folks.